Hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Get in Tune. I'm Michael Gracia, and as usual, I got a really fun show planned. I'm always excited to talk to indie comic creators. Um, I love seeing what's going on in the indie world. So many great comics coming out. Um, this one I got to see a couple of pages too, and I've really enjoyed what I've seen. But before we go to my guest tonight, as you know, it's Wednesday, and not only is it Get in Tune Day, but it's Wiz Wednesday. That means my strip was out, which you can follow at the Wiz Comic, which you can see below at the Wiz Comic on both Instagram and Facebook. I put out every Wednesday, and let's just take a quick look at it. I will. All right, I think that was enough time to read it. It was a short read today. In the comments, Sebastian, hey, thanks for tuning in. Let me bring on my guest. He is the creator of a comic called Sillyville. Let me bring on David Sullivan. Hello, David.
Hey, Michael. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, anytime, man. Your stuff looks great. I'm excited to hear more about it, learn more about it. Let me just put my keyboard below so I don't accidentally touch something and screw up the show tonight.
Handle that.
I'm clumsy that way. But so first off, thank you for coming on. Fugitive Poems Comics are on, Dave. So that is Christian DiMatteo and James Lyons, both fans of the show, both regular people on here. They will be doing Free Comic Book Day at the Spider's Web in Yonkers, located at 887A Yonkers Avenue across from the casino. Unfortunately, I will not be there that day. I was really hoping to be. So, Dave, before we... do you prefer Dave or David?
Dave.
Dave? Okay. Dave, so before we get into your comic, tell us about yourself. Tell us about, your background in art and or comic making or whatever. How'd you get into it? Did you read as a kid?
Yeah, sure. So I read a little bit of comics as a kid, mostly, the usual suspects, the Marvel, Captain America. I actually got into comics through writing, actually through Fugitive Poems, Christian DiMatteo and his team over there. I wrote a children's movie called Sillyville, hence the comic. I wrote actually 2 feature-length scripts, worked on a short. I was actually talking to investors about getting the movie made. And, I was talking to some people in the industry, and they said, even if you make the movie, what's the big deal? It doesn't matter. It needs to have a name. It needs to have buzz. It needs to have a name recognition. And someone threw out the word comic, and I said, comic? I think I can do a comic. And, I actually converted a short film I had written for Sillyville into a comic. And it's interesting writing, because when you do a comic and you have all the boxes, and you're like, this is what's going to go in each box and each frame. And then you get down, you're like, nope, I need I need 2 more pages. I need 6 less pages. You never know. But
yeah.
That I made it into a comic. And I guess that's what we're talking about tonight. And then for me, I'm a resident of Weymouth, Massachusetts. I've lived here most of my life, except for a few years I lived in Brooklyn. And Gurgle Blinks in the house, Rob Riley. And, married. I have a beautiful daughter who's playing shy. I wanted to introduce her because she's the inspiration for Francesca Gurgle Blinks, the mayor's precocious daughter. And I'm a big-time Boston sports fan, too.
Nice.
Too big.
Nice. Is your background in writing, did you say? Or
I've been doing a lot of writing. So the short, long version is in '03, I moved to New York to become an actor.
Okay.
And I did some writing mainly as a vehicle to promote my acting. The I actually wasn't that good of an actor, and but I found that the writing was actually pretty good. And I met Rob Riley, who's on on here now, and Rob Riley wrote an amazing movie called Back to Manhattan. Rob, you can throw the link in there if that's okay with you, Mike.
Absolutely.
The link into his movie, which is amazing. And we stayed in touch. And then when I was rewriting a movie about 10 years ago, I got away from writing for like over 10 years. I'm like Roy Hobbs, I didn't write or anything for all that time. And then, I met up again with Rob. Rob was actually the one that introduced me to Christian. We were rewriting a movie that eventually became BeautyCon, which was about a guy who pretends to be a judge in the Miss America pageant to try to meet women. Although it eventually they moved down to it was the Miss Puerto Rico pageant. I don't know how they got to Puerto Rico, but that's what they did. And yeah, so I wrote that. I wrote a couple musicals. I wrote a couple. I'm working on a sitcom that if someone can drop that in the I don't know how to put anything in the comments, but
there is a comment section that you should have access to on the side, and you can copy and paste links into there.
All right.
Rob, if you can't,
layover thing there, that'd be good.
You could always send it to me too, and I can always do it.
All right.
Oh, that's weird. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to when I set something up in my Photoshop, but it's not letting me do what I want.
Right, James.
Sorry. I was going to show that later. I'm just trying to remove that. So anyway, so you do a lot of writing. You're doing Layover is Hysterical. Is that one of your
Okay, so Layover is a sitcom I wrote, and the story behind that is a friend of mine, James Quinn, told me about an idea for a sitcom called Layover about two janitors at Logan Airport who turned their janitor's closet into a bar. Hello, Darlene. And he told me the idea, and I said, that's the single dumbest idea I ever heard in my life. And then about 2 weeks later, he told me the same idea. And I said, that's the most brilliant idea I ever heard in my life. I don't know what side of the bed I woke up each day, but we wrote that. And I've written 8 episodes, and on to season 2. And luckily my computer crashed, so I get to rewrite the episodes of season 2 that I had. But I got a great cast I'm working with. Nice to meet you too, Dylan. And
we got a comment here. We're gonna have to chat about this, about your and a karaoke embarrassment star. We'll have to have a little chat about it. But
yeah,
continue.
I'll do some karaoke later if you want. I've been working on my fundamentals.
I'm sorry. Continue with what you were saying.
Yeah, so Layover is another one that, but the magic, the magic thing when you're filming, whether it be live action or animation, is is money. It's tough to get. The investors in line. That's the thing with the comic is that it's doable. Now, when you're actually on Fiverr paying an artist $1,000, it doesn't seem doable, but it's definitely great. I found a great artist on Fiverr. If anyone doesn't know Fiverr, it's a great book if you can't draw like me. Not like you, Michael. I saw your stuff. It's
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
But if you go on Fiverr, you can get the talent there. So that's how I did this. I grabbed a guy off Fiverr, and we did it that way.
And Rob says there are full table reads on the site. So the site I dropped in the comment section. So if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or what's the other one, Twitch, you guys should be able to click those links and check it. But do it after the show. I have it right here. I'm going to check it out definitely because it's funny. I'm not a huge sitcom fan in the sense where I'm a bit of a comedy snob. All right, I hate to say it this way, but I find, I see the repetitiveness in like the jokes of sitcoms always doing, and after a point I'm just kind of tired of it. But if I can find that sitcom that does it a little differently or just has that thing that makes me just laugh, I go back. Like I'm one of those people out there who can't stand Friends. I think it's one of the worst shows ever made. And there's so many people I talk to who think it's fantastic.
I'm like the one guy who thinks Friends is okay. It's Friends is like Kiss. You either love them or
yeah, exactly.
hate it.
I just never got that show. I just never got that. But I was the guy who liked Seinfeld and Frasier, at that time. So
well, I can tell you the funniest sitcom I ever saw, and it only ran for 2 seasons, 13 episodes. Is called Trial and Error. It's on Amazon Prime right now.
Is it free on Prime? Because I'll write that down and check it out.
It's free on Prime. In fact, a few weeks ago, I said I know it's the middle of March, but I'm adding a New Year's resolution. I want to get at least one person to watch Trial and Error, and then the lovely and talented Rob Syke, who's also a great writer, watched it and said this is hilarious. I don't know how it only lasted for a couple seasons, so it's good. It's got John Lithgow. Christian's one of the people that doesn't like
it, and I'm a Kiss fan, so
what's I've occurred to me the other day about Kiss that's kind of interesting is their best song to me by a mile is Strutter. Okay. And Strutter is literally the first song off their first album. So they've literally been going down since 1973. So technically.
That's funny. That's funny. Listen, you already got one person who's going to check it out. I'm always looking for comedies to watch. I've said on the show here many times, and it's not that I'm tired of superhero stuff. I'm just bored with it now that I find the storytelling has gone bad on those. Like they just don't know what they're doing anymore. That I'm leaning more towards comedies. I look for stand-ups to watch. I look for sitcoms. I look for things. I look for things like that. And so I didn't know about this show. I will definitely check out Trial and Error. I'm on Amazon Prime quite a bit, but to me, I'll say this: the greatest all-time sitcom to me is the Dick Van Dyke Show. I don't think there's anything funnier than the Dick Van Dyke Show to me. Yeah. But that's my preference. It's I'm a big fan of I always blank on his real name, Maury Amsterdam, the guy who played Buddy Sorrell. So
is Dick Van Dyke Show streaming anywhere right now? Do we know?
I believe it's on Hulu. Last time I looked, I believe it's on. There was another one too. I don't remember, but I believe Hulu is where I've watched it a couple of times.
I'll check it out. My daughter and I right now are working through Murder, She Wrote.
That was a good show. Because
she's reached this age where she doesn't really want to talk to her daddy, and she doesn't want to be on podcasts with him. But she still like wants to hang out and like be in the same room, and we'll go cruising and listen to Nirvana's greatest hits. Although I just bought the Black Album, Metallica.
Okay.
And she loves that too. So that's in our rotation now too.
That's great. Great.
Murder, She Wrote is our thing right now. We finished Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and now we're into Murder, She Wrote.
Can I tell you, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, that show scared the hell out of me as a kid. I don't remember the age I was when it came out. Obviously, it was the 80s that I was watching it. And there was one episode where, and I believe it was the Alfred Hitchcock Presents show,
The
where
remake in the 80s?
yeah, the one from the 80s.
All right,
I
let me
believe.
see if it's the same one as.
This is the one that freaked me out. It was about a girl in prison who wanted to escape.
That's
And
the
that totally, you know that one?
Yep.
Oh God, my heart just stops thinking about it. It's
What an
yeah,
ending.
not I'll should I spoil the ending just so people know why it freaks me out, or yeah, I'll tell you guys if you've never
Yeah.
seen. Yeah, I got to tell you. Here's what happens. This woman's in prison and dying to get out, and she basically befriends the groundskeeper, and he said he'll help her escape. She'll be, she'll pretend to die. She'll go in the coffin, and then he'll dig her out. And then she's in the coffin waiting to be dug out, and she decides to see who she's in with. She lights a match. It's the groundskeeper, and and that just sticks in my head and freaked me out every time.
Yeah. I watched that on YouTube recently. I said, because that one doesn't leave you.
Yeah. And I still remember, I don't remember the actress, but I remember her face, and I just remember the scream at the end.
Yeah, and they showed the grave from the outside.
Yeah, and you hear her screaming from under. Oh,
it was amazing.
Christian says he's watching Columbo right now, which is another great show. That's eventually will be in my rotation. I like a lot of the older shows. I find them a little more fun. But anyway, let's move on to this comic that you're doing. So tell us. So you started writing this script, and you're using, and there's the comic, Sillyville, the movie, the comic. So basically, you're using this to kind of help bring a name to the movie you want to make, get people to know about it.
Yeah, I want to get a buzz. I want people to know the name Sillyville. Now, I think Sillyville is an expression people have said, over the years. I know, like Rob was saying, he's said Sillyville a million times. I got the idea where I was just acting goofy in front of my daughter and making her laugh, and I said, "Yeah, your daddy's the mayor of Sillyville," and it just came out, just popped out of my mouth. And then 6 months later, I thought, oh, that would make a good movie. And then 6 months later, I started writing it because I'm a massive procrastinator. Then I'm waiting for my wife to put something in the chat saying how true that is. And then it worked out because I had thought of an idea for a movie that I thought, or like that would make a good TV show, like a 1 hour drama. And I was able to incorporate that into Sillyville. So in the movie Sillyville, Mayor Gurglebloinks is the mayor of Sillyville, and it's the silliest town in America. And they happen to be on top of this big reserve of blublonium. And this shyster guy, handsome Harley Face, comes to town, and he wants to steal the blublonium. And he, I won't recap the whole movie for you, but he manages to call for a vote of no confidence, becomes the new mayor. They kidnap the mayor and bring him somewhere. And this is where my daughter really, and this was her biggest contribution. I said, all right, where do they kidnap the mayor? Where does he go? And she said, they leave him. They go up Hilarious Hill, through the swamp of silly snakes, past the fiasco of funny fish, through the jumping jungle. And that's where you find the mayor tied up. And I was like, I can't believe she was 6 and she came up with that. So they rescue the mayor, blood, how these things end.
Yeah.
Even though you hate repetition and
no, it's not that I hate the repetition. I get it. I hate when I specifically find this about sitcoms. It's the recycle story and jokes.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Like I said, the Dick Van Dyke is my favorite all-time sitcom, but I can go back to older sitcoms and see where Dick Van Dyke Show was taking the ideas from, and then I can look at the Big Bang Theory and see the same thing and be like, oh, they did it this way, and they just changed this, this aspect, this name, or these words.
Yeah, they did that with there's a radio show I listen to in the morning called Toucher and Rich in Boston, And when Kevin Can Wait came out, they had this thing where they'd say, Kevin forgets to buy an anniversary present for his wife. And they'd say, is this an actual episode? And like, they did all the cliches, and literally 2 out of 3 was an actual episode. Yeah. So, yeah.
But you know what? It works. And it you know, and it keeps fans and shows keep going. But I think when, you know, someone like me who lives their lives in comics, who writes jokes, who, you know, does all this stuff, you end up kind of just seeing it so much easier than someone who doesn't do it, you know. And like, again, I love comics. I love the show. I would love to read your comic one day, but I don't read many comics anymore. I love them, and I'll pick up, you know, older stories that I enjoyed when I was younger. I'll look for indie books, but I'm not going nuts because I spend my day making comics. Yeah. And it's number one, I don't want to feel like I'm reading something and, you know, subconsciously possibly stealing it, you know. But also at the same time, I don't have time to read. I literally have a pile of books behind me that I haven't got to yet. And I'll still buy more. That's the problem. I will still buy more because I just love them so much, you know. And one day I'll sit down and read again. But yeah. I mean, you tend, you know, same thing. Like I'm an animator, you know, that's what I used to do a lot. Now I'm actually getting back into animation. I was actually talking with my sound guy yesterday about stuff, and you know, and I'm talking about all this stuff, but I don't sit and watch a lot of cartoons. That's it. You know, I'll go back and watch the stuff I enjoy, you know, that made me chuckle. I'm not sitting and watching a lot of new stuff out there. Let me see. What does Christian say? Fans should enjoy their comfort foods. Creators shouldn't cook. So, but yeah. So anyway, so we got this Sillyville. We got this movie that was coming out. You said it wasn't until you met Christian that you thought about doing a comic.
We had a writing group that we started meeting during COVID. We did a Zoom, you know, Zoom calls, and we'd take each other's scripts and do table reads over Zoom. And then, you know, Christian kind of like, you know, left up, like he kind of handed out like the comic books were like the cool kids, and we were like the nerds who were still writing like scripts, you know, like movie scripts. So like he got all into comics, and you've seen his stuff. It's great. And so I knew like I could bounce stuff off him. And you know, it's interesting. Some of the ways he just helped like steer me, you know, like just I wrote it, but some of the things he'd say about like you need to explain like to the artist, like, you know, because in writing a script, you don't do that. In fact, if you did, the director would say, all right, that's great, good for you. I'm gonna film it the way I want to do it. But when it comes to, you know, a cartoon, they want you to say like, or a comic, they want you to say like, this is what's in that shot.
Well, hold on, before you, you know, someone who's been doing this for many, many years, I've worked with writers who have been very, very descriptive and says, this is what I want in the frame. And then I've worked with others that say, you're the artist, I trust you, go use your imagination, but, you know, just make sure this is the largest on the page. So there are different types of writers out there. I will say I like the combination of the ones who kind of do a combination of the both. It's like, I'm going to leave it to your imagination, but you know, you're having a spaceship in there that looks like the spaceship from this movie. And at least now I have reference to go by, you know? So I like those that kind of balance me out on there.
You see that too with, like with the writing, say like a sitcom script or a comedy. You're going to have certain lines that the actor is going to deliver, and you're going to have to say no, because the joke is that the guy delivers the line like this, or that he says it like this. And I think with the what I found with the comic is, I'd say there's certain reactions I want. Like if you want to show the page, we're going to show maybe the budget
Oh, the budget. Okay, that's this one.
Yeah.
I had it on the other one, and we're gonna go to present. Share screen. And Christian, you're right. There are different types of artists out there. There are some who really like the descriptive and some who want to be imaginative. I've actually written comics, I'll tell you this. And I know this has happened to other writers who have written comics, but the artist doesn't listen to anything because they think they know better. And then it's, they waste the time. They waste the writer's time. So I don't know if everyone can see this well enough. I'll zoom in on it some more. Let's zoom in. Let's get the hand here. Oops, let's maybe. Oh, this is not the way I want it to go. Come on, Photoshop. Stop being a pain. There we go.
So so this is a great example where I wanted it to be outside, establishing shot. She hears the grunts from outside. She opens up. Todd, why aren't you in the budget meeting? And then this, you don't know what he's doing. What do you think I'm doing? And that's when she kind of gives the punchline, budget, not budge it. And then there he is. Good, this thing won't budge. I didn't tell him how big to make the safe, or I don't think I even said it had to be a safe. I just, it was some large object he was trying to budge. And that was that. Similar to the the other page I sent you. I wasn't married to like the facial expressions. There was a couple times I maybe would ask the guy to change the facial expression because it didn't quite convey what it didn't quite convey the mayor's personality, right? And when I did that, he would change it. It was funny because I figured you get someone off of Fiverr, and they would be very like straightforward, and they'd want everything spelled out, and they wouldn't want to put their own spin on it. But I got a really good guy who was out of France. He's on the cover. But yeah, he was good. I mean, I didn't have to give him a ton of direction or anything like that.
Yeah. No, I love this expression right here on the, I don't know if you can see the one where she has her fingers in her eyes, pushing the glasses up. That's such a great expression, great drawing here. I love what is this, a water slide coming out of?
Yeah, Sillyville. So I basically copied Weymouth's Town Hall, which is actually a replica of the old Massachusetts State House. And so I just took Weymouth's Town Hall, but I had them throw on a water slide. And if you look at the front cover, he's got, he actually. Hold on,
let me give you the screen. I just got to get a second to get over to it. I'm sorry, I look at 3 different screens, so I just got to jump around here. There you go. You can.
So here he's got water slides on either side,
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
So it's there's no pool there. I gotta. Mayor Gurgle Blinks didn't have it in his budget for the pool this year. So
that's another comic to write.
Yeah.
So let me add the way I'm seeing the 2 pages that you sent me, and we'll look at the other page in a moment. It's set up almost like a almost like an old newspaper strip where it's you're following the what's the word I'm looking for, there's a setup, the intro, the setup, the beat, and then the punchline, so you have that's a traditional comic strip joke style of writing. Is every page like that, or is it because I know you said there's a story to the movie, but is every page in the comic basically set up like a newspaper strip, or is it story based?
It's a story. It's 12 pages. It's a story. It's kind of like it's sort of like one of these like short, a lot of short films are like this. I think short comics are probably like this too, with this almost like a punchline. You know,
Yeah.
it's that sort of thing where, you know, the mayor's been telling everyone something, and people are, you know, people like, what he's talking about, I can't believe he believes this. And then at the very end, they find out he was telling the truth, and they're like, what? They're like, you were? He's like, yeah. Well, what? You didn't? What's the problem? Why do you believe it? It was something. It's just something ridiculous that he's been spouting through the whole thing. So, you know, what I tried to do though is I tried to make it so each scene was something where I could just, or like each page was something where if I showed you that page, you'd enjoy it. I think one of the best compliments I got on Sillyville, this was someone out in Los Angeles who knows writing, knows the business. And one of the things she said that I took as a pretty big compliment, she said, you know, like every scene throughout the movie, there's something funny happening in every scene.
That's great.
Which is funny because if you've ever written like a screenplay, anything like that, you can definitely get to the part where it gets really serious at the end, and you know, like you're wrapping up the story and the drama, and you can go, you know, it's easy to go like 10, 15 pages without throwing in any jokes, you know. Yeah. And so the fact that she said that about the movie, I thought was great. And that's kind of what I tried to do with the book to some degree. You know, I mean, not, you know, you're not going to bust a gut laughing at every page, but, you know, that's what I was going for.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take a look at the other page. Let me zoom in so we could, hopefully I don't have my issue again here. Let's bring it to here. Switch over to the hand here. So this one I will say made me laugh pretty hard. I enjoyed this joke quite a bit.
So yeah, so I addressed tomorrow night. So they're going to an awards ceremony. They're awarding the top hide and go seek player in Sillyville. So they're having an awards banquet for Old Man McHugh, who is actually 28 years old. His father, Old Man McHugh Sr., is actually the old guy. But that's what this is, the dress for the award ceremony.
So what does it look like? It's lovely. Describe it. You're picturing it now. Let me ask, is he supposed to be you?
He's loosely based on me. That's loosely based on my daughter, Francesca. Well, Genevieve is my daughter. Francesca is Francesca Gurglebloinks. I told the artist that to base it actually on John Ritter.
Okay.
Because when I was in my 20s and 30s, a lot of people thought I looked a little like John Ritter. So it's actually supposed to be kind of based on John Ritter, but you might not necessarily see John Ritter when you look at it.
And I love this. I'm picturing it now. And she says, "You're picturing the gorilla again, right? Aren't you?" And he's like, "You know me so well." That one made me laugh pretty hard. I like that one a lot. That was a good gag. So and I love the drawing of the gorilla though.
And that's another one where, you know, I kind of left it up to him, and that's what he came up with, and I was like, great. You know, and this is one of the themes of Sillyville is that Mayor Gurglebloinks is kind of like the he's kind of just like always silly, like always scatterbrain, and you know, his chief of staff, Millie McGillicuddy, is really the person that that at TG Gurglebloinks is also that's Twitter.
I was gonna ask, yeah. So you guys on Twitter, was it TB Gurglebloinks?
Yeah, it's Todd Basketball Gurglebloinks. He legally changed his name to Todd Basketball Gurglebloinks because he said he noticed everyone's always good at their middle names. Like if someone says, "Hey, you good at soccer?" and they're like, "Hey, soccer's my middle name," and they're good at it. So he's like, "Oh, if my middle name's basketball, I'll be good at it." So he changed his name to Todd Basketball Gurglebloinks, and his daughter is Francesca Cello.
I gotta say, I really enjoy these little like side stories you're telling. Are these things we're gonna find out in the comic or eventually in the movie, or is this just stuff out of your head right now that you have your own backstories that you made up?
It's some of this stuff comes out definitely in the movie, and I think I'm gonna have them come out in the comics. So I wanted to can we do a little informal poll here with your listeners?
Yeah, you guys, hold on. Let me. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take the picture down and just give us the screen right now. All right, so we've got a few people watching. For those watching, let's listen to the poll. You guys, come on and answer, vote, whatever Dave wants.
So I'm going to try to get out another comic this year. I have 2 different ideas. Tell me, I've actually written them, but it's just a first draft for both. So tell me which one sounds better. One is they play Oppositeville in basketball, and they bet like some stupid amount of whatever on the bet. But then when they go to play, Oppositeville's players are all really short because it's Oppositeville. Yeah. And of course they win. But then when they win,
well, don't tell the story. Don't tell the story.
All right.
Just first of all, I like just the idea because I already knew hearing Oppositeville all the jokes that could be done.
Okay.
With Oppositeville. So now let's hear the other story.
The other one is and this one I can't really ruin it because there's no like punchline. So this one, and for legal reasons I have to slightly change it, but there's an event coming to Sillyville called Ask A-Rod, and it's Alex Rodriguez coming to town to do a book signing. Mm-hmm. But the news says Ask A-Rod will be landing in Sillyville, and Mayor Gurglebloinks thinks it says an asteroid is landing on Sillyville. So he thinks the whole world's going to die in a week. And so he basically spends a week going around doing his bucket list.
Okay. Well, first off, the audience, say which one you like better, the first or the second one. I'm in love with both stories. I don't know which one I would choose.
Both, and I'm going to do both. It's just
a case which one do you want to focus on first? I get it. It's
Riley, 1 vote for Oppositeville. You're recording this, right? I don't need to.
Yes. This is you can watch this tomorrow again.
Right.
I will save my vote till the end. I think Fugitive Poem Bucket List. I knew Christian would go that way. Another 2 for Opposite, 1 for Bucket. Come on, let's see who else has an answer. Both, but the second one. So that is Bucket List.
Ninja Animals.
Oh, that's great. I think that's a different one. Or Dylan, are you talking about? Well, I didn't get to say Dylan's working on his own show called Danny and Friends. It's with animals. I don't know if Ninja Animals is supposed to be in there, but Dylan, which do you like, the Oppositeville or the Bucket List one? We'll give it another moment, and then I'm going to give my choice.
All right. Excellent.
Because I think both are great. I really do. But I think there's one that really stood out for the humor and the things I could see. Okay, Dylan says Opposite, and I'm going to say the opposite of what Dylan says. I'm going to say Bucket List. I think the idea of having one person in town thinking an asteroid is coming, and him going and everyone else seeing him as insane at what he's doing. It's such a classic comic story. I think it would be. I think that's the one. So I'm going with the bucket list myself.
And I'm working on some. Good. I get the Bruins on delay. No one told me that. So the I'm working on working around some like I got to look at like the legal like about using likenesses and things like that. But the tentative I'm tentatively having a thing where on the bucket list one where he's apparently scheduled a fight with Deontay Wilder, the former heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah.
And when he finds out the world isn't really going to end, he's like, oh no.
Well, here's what I'll tell you. Look into parody law. There are certain things you could do with parody law that will allow you to use stuff you want. But for the amount of pages and the amount of stuff that you're doing, it may go into something that parody law doesn't cover this. But because there is things like, it's how Mad Magazine got away with doing stuff, because it's under parody law. That's how they could do their, 8-page, making fun of a TV show or movie and all those things.
Oh yeah.
So it's stuff, but I will say, like, when I write, because I do, everything I do in comics, even the comic I showed at the beginning that I did this week for my Wiz, I write an animation in my head. So everything, like I had a different ending for that joke, but it didn't work. I showed it to my wife. I said, "What do you think?" And the last joke, the bird, his name's Ajax. He says, "What was it? Not all seeing." And then he was like, "Yeah, all seeing my tail feathers." Like, but instead of saying like my butt. And my wife, she read it. She goes, "I know what you're trying to say, but I don't think it reads right, that it would work better in animation." So I'm always thinking in movie.
Yeah.
And seeing this thing, I see like an old cartoon, like growing up, something that people like a Flintstones or something, where Fred and Barney misunderstood something and they think the world is ending. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm always thinking in animation. I'm just putting it down in comics. So I tend to do a lot of rewriting for that reason. But that's why I pick it, because I see the story going on.
Yeah, it lends itself
in animation and movement.
Yeah, it definitely lends itself to there's a section, if we all read, everyone in my writers group read the book Save the Cat about screenplay writing, and there's a section called Fun and Games, which is like when all the when the guy has this new superpower, or the kid steals his dad's Ferrari, and you see all the hijinks he gets into. And this is kind of like this would be a whole short or a whole comic about fun and games. So it's definitely something. By the way, I really liked I laughed out loud when I saw the, "Oh, you're a duck." You're a bird.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. That was excellent.
Thank you. Well, just another promotion down at the bottom there at the Wiz Comic, Facebook and Instagram. But yeah, no, and it comes out every Wednesday, guys. Listen, that's like my what's the word I'm looking for? That's just like the way I get out of my my head, is to do that comic. I just enjoy it so much. But yeah, no, listen, I think you got something that is really a good start. I'd love to see a live action, piece and animated. Like I really see this animated, kind of Simpson-esque. And because I feel like you could do so many stories that, and I'm not saying just like the Simpsons or whatever, but that type of 30-minute, 22-minute cartoon.
Actually, it's funny you mentioned that, because there's a couple parallels to The Simpsons. For one thing, no one knows where Sillyville is. I don't even know if it's in the United States. I'm not sure where Sillyville is. In fact, that might be one of the fan theories. I think one of the big things any movie needs nowadays is fan theories.
Yeah.
So there's a ton of fan theories around Sillyville. So that's one of them. The other thing is there's the chief of police in Sillyville is named Officer Fructose. And I actually have him drawn. I paid someone on Fiverr to draw him. So I can show you his picture right now. And even as I'd be looking at the picture, I'll be picturing Chief Wiggum in my head because I pretty much stole Chief Wiggum, and I can't help it. And but that's that. I mean, 30 years that show's been around.
I know.
Been a couple.
I actually still watch it.
Yeah, I did a like a Zoom call one time, and Matt Groening was on the call.
Wow.
And I made a Simpsons reference so obscure he didn't get it, and I was like, "All right,
really?
You've gone too obscure with your Simpsons reference." When Matt Groening's like, "What are you talking about? I don't get it."
Well, I don't know. I want to hear that story, but you can tell me off the air. It sounds great because he's one of those people up there I'd love to meet. Just there's very few like it's funny. I do all these. I used to do all these Comic Cons. I'm not doing anything till next year, but all these Comic Cons, they constantly are bringing celebrities in, and nothing against celebrities because I'm friends with a few, but to me, bringing in an actor isn't who I want to see at a Comic Con. Bringing in a celebrity like you're talking Jim Steranko, Matt Groening, like people like that. To me, those are the celebrities, and I would love to meet them. I'm all about art. So
it was interesting because I didn't, there was so many people on the Zoom call. I managed to ask him one question about something about writing as a team, versus writing individually. And I always thought if I could have asked him a second question or any kind of follow-up comment, I would have told him that the line, the movie or the planet, in reference to the Planet of the Apes, the musical, the line, the movie of the planet, I think is the greatest line in any show, movie, sitcom, play, you name it. It's the most brilliant line ever. Because at one point it's the movie of the actual planet. Yeah. And then they're like, take out the word actual. And they did it. And they're like, oh my God, it was so brilliant. I wish I told him. Maybe I'll meet him again and I'll tell him. Yeah. Like if I didn't get Keith Hernandez to sign my bat, maybe I'd bump into him again and he'd sign it.
Yeah.
Just checking to see if Rob Riley's still on, because that's the scene from his.
It is. I gotta check. There's so much out there I want to check out. You have, all these things you're talking about. Rob never threw the link to his thing in the comments. I'd love to see that.
By the way, so this was my first Comic Con. What's Rob saying?
By the way, you don't have to worry about layover. Hold on, let's see. Being a typical sitcom, Michael Anthony is the happiest when he writes the jokes only he gets, and the rest of us have to look. You know what? I'm good with that. I get to learn more. So, but Rob, throw your stuff. Throw. What was it? A movie you said he did?
Yeah, back to Manhattan.
Yeah, throw that link in. I'd love to see it.
Well, it's funny, some of the parallels I'm finding too between comics and sitcoms, in that it's sometimes it's hard to get what's in your head right down. Like, so in one instance you're dealing with actors and they have to deliver the line like perfect, right? And then sometimes there's I had a lot with my comic because I'm a novice of I'll know it when I see it. I got lucky that I just got a great artist who was able to, if he didn't nail it exactly what I was thinking, he got it close enough. And in a couple instances, he threw stuff in that I'm like, oh, I like that. I wasn't even thinking that, but I like it. And it's always tough to get the exact, get exactly from your head to the page or to the script, but I think you get it as close as possible. There's a one line in in layover where I may have to take out, and I love it, but it has to be delivered just perfect. And I haven't heard it done yet, and I don't know that it can be done, but it's maybe I'll tell you off the
Yeah,
line is, but it's
yeah.
that sort of thing. Um, the other comic thing that I wanted to talk about was Comic-Con in
Yes, go ahead.
Comic-Con. So I hadn't
This is WickedCon you're saying that you went to?
Yeah.
You were just at happened this past weekend. I had a lot of friends there. I'm sorry I couldn't go. But I have a family event like every weekend in April and I think in May. So
yeah. It's well the thing so here's the thing. If anyone's on that hasn't been to Comic-Con, I can tell you it's the nicest people you'll ever meet.
Mhm.
I was just a guy walking around with selling my comic. I didn't get a booth, so I wasn't sure. Like one thing, like the decorum, like if someone's standing at someone's booth, I don't want to go up to them at the booth and try to sell them, because that's like poaching. So I'm like kind of like hanging back, and then I knew the people that would want to buy the comic were the people with kids with them. So then I'd find myself like following them. I'm like, oh, good thing this isn't creepy, me following them around. But I managed to sell a few books. I think I went like 2 for $10 with people that, but most people be like, I'm all set, cause they don't know it, but I sold a few.
That's great.
And, made some good connections. I'll actually, off the air, I have a couple people. There's a couple guys, the Fleming brothers that go to my church. If you guys are on, you can drop your stuff in the comments. Great guys. They help me out a lot too. And they'd be great guests for your podcast as well. Because
do they have a book?
Yeah, they have a book out. It's called Solarian Sun. The way they describe it is, what if Tolkien wrote Thundercats?
That is fantastic.
And their gimmick at Comic-Con was they had a whiteboard with a line in the middle. It said Tolkien or Thundercats, and people would walk by and they'd vote for who they wanted. I think Thundercats won. At least it was in the lead when I was there. But I loved Comic-Con. I would definitely go back even if I didn't have a book to promote. Hoping to make it down to it's Mohegan Sun, right?
Yeah, that's Terrificon in July, is it? Christian could tell us better. I don't know the date. But yeah, I mean, listen, I've done Terrificon. God, I don't even know how many years ago. It was before the pandemic. I used to run kids sections with a friend of mine, and we were down there for a kids section. But I think that might have been my only time. I might have done it one other. It's been a while. Both times I did the show, or I know I went to it. I walked it once, so I can't remember. But both times I went, it was a great show. And I actually had Mitch Holocrock on here who runs it. He's a good guy. Does a good show. And I don't know if I'm going to do it this year. Not to go into a lot here, but my audience knows I have medical issues, and when the pandemic happened, I kind of backed away from everything, and I've had to deal with some other health issues and stuff. But I'm using this year to make up for lost time being sick, and I am making product this year, and 2024 will be my year to return to cons. I have a children's book that's basically ready to go if I can get the damn website to work to get the cover uploaded. The Wiz, actually, I did the Wiz from 2018 to 2019, and then was it May of 2019? I got pneumonia. I got really sick, and I had so many things going on. I had to have something, take a step back. Excuse me, and that was the Wiz. And back then, I was doing the Wiz twice a week instead of once a week. So I've collected all the strips, but last year my computer crashed before I bought this one here, and I lost a few of the strips, so I just got to redraw them. And then that book's ready to go. So that's 2 books right there. And I have a comic that I'm just kind of playing with right now, and then that'll be ready to go hopefully by November. So like I just want product at my table again. I don't have anything new besides I can't reach it now, but I did some artwork in a Zorro anthology, so I have that and a couple of other things that from publishers. So I just wanted to build up my product again, and then I'll start doing shows in 2024. And Terrificon is one of the shows I do want to do, but I'm very picky about the shows I'm gonna do just because of cash to get in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big. I mean, I kind of looked at it all. I worked a second job to pay for everything. I actually worked at H&R Block through tax season, and just to to pay for the artists, the Comic-Con tickets. I got we had the T-shirts made up.
I was gonna say I really enjoy the
yeah. Shirt. So the obviously the Beatles are my favorite band, but my second favorite randomly is Cheap Trick. So I went with I did like the Cheap Trick inspired design for the T-shirt. So yeah, but all of it, it adds up, man. And the the 5 comics I've sold so far for $10 don't really make a big dent in the all the price. But yeah, if anyone wants to buy one, you can DM me on Facebook at Sillyville. Look for Sillyville, the movie, the comic. Look for that picture, or TB Gurgle Bloinks, Todd Basketball Gurgle Bloinks on Twitter.
All right. Well, you actually just answered my next question. Where can people get the book? So just to message you and
and I'll give you all the info and everything like that. I'm trying to. I guess I'm supposed to put it on Amazon or something.
Listen, there are other places that I'm not going to knock Amazon ever, but there are other places that I can talk to you off the air about other places I know. I'll never, Amazon. I know tons of people who print directly through Amazon. They do some, good work. It's just everything's on Amazon. So sometimes I like to give other people business,
Yeah,
that's my thing. So anyway, I don't think I have any more questions for you at this time, but I gotta say I'm really enjoying chatting with you. I think I think you have a very interesting concept, something that will, I don't think this is just for kids. I think this is when Christian said, "Hey, I got a friend who's going to reach out to you. He's got something right up your alley." And the reasoning is because I am a big supporter of family stories, family books. This is just the 2 pages that you shared with me. This is something great for the family that parents can sit down with their kids and read, or grandparents can sit down with their grandkids or something. This is this is what I think the comic industry needs more of. I don't knock the other stuff out there. I think there's something out there for everyone, but I think we don't have enough stuff for kids to be directed at, and I like to see more stuff like that.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and that was pretty apparent to me when I was looking for artists, and they'd say, "Yeah, let me send you a sample of my work," and it looked like Gurgle Blunks was going to go on a murdering spree, take out half of Sillyville. I'm like, no, that's not it. Although that might be, maybe that's episode 4. I don't know. I like the kids and humor. Humor is like that too. Like clean humor, 9 times out of 10 is funnier. One thing that's definitely lost nowadays is when you have a joke where something is left unsaid. It's so much funnier than if you come out and say something raunchy. I mean, that's I don't know. It can be funny, but it's it's the implied stuff. It's what's not said that's really, really funny.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Humor is something that, like we mentioned, we talked in the beginning about the sitcoms and stuff, but humor is something I lean more towards these days. I look for stand-ups on things. I'm just tired of the stuff that's out there. So I'm always looking to laugh, and I tend to read more things that make me laugh. I tend to watch more things that make me laugh, listen to them, whether it's podcasts or whatever it's. So I enjoy seeing more and more stuff like this. And, next time your next book comes out, man, you got to come back on and talk about it.
This would be my first stop.
Yeah, I would. Seriously, this is great. We could talk about a lot more things, and I look forward to checking out the book. I need to get a copy.
Yeah, I'll get you the copy, and I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate all my friends. My cousin in Connecticut. I keep thinking St. Lucia, but I have a cousin, Bertha, in Connecticut, who's from St. Lucia, and a sister-in-law, Bertha, in St. Lucia, from St. Lucia. But that's the one from Connecticut who's joining. So maybe you didn't get all those overseas listeners. I promise.
It's okay. It's okay. Well, listen, this show is on YouTube. As long as YouTube exists, this show will exist, and people will find it. I do have someone who watches somewhat regularly over, I believe he's in Ireland.
Oh,
so
nice.
It does get overseas viewing, just not usually live.
Well, he's going to be happy to have one of his countrymen on tonight.
All right, I'm going to drop you backstage again. Thank you for coming on. Hang out backstage for a moment, though. Okay. All right. So yeah, that was fun. Dave is a great guy. Really looking forward to checking out his work. You guys remember, if you want to get a copy on Facebook, look up Sillyville, the movie, the comic, and message him. He'll get it to you, or on Twitter at the link I posted, which I have to scroll back up for because I forgot the name. But TB, where is it here? I'll find it. There it is. TB, what was that? Griggle Points. So, yeah, next week. Oh, and who's this? Darlene says, thank you. And enjoyed the show. Thank you. Next week, I'm not having a guest on, but I do have other guests planned. Next week, there's things I want to chat about. I was thinking of doing a live draw, or maybe even a little animation. I haven't decided what I'm going to do. Everything depends on my mood on Wednesday. But there's some things I want to talk about going on in the industry. And if I decide to bring someone on, I'll bring a friend on, but no special interview guest next week. But the following week, I got some really cool stuff coming up. So you guys, thank you all for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you watch next week. We'll have a lot of fun with me drawing and just talking and stuff. And anyway, I will see you then. Again, thanks for watching.